Welcome to What If It All Goes Right, the podcast where we flip the script on obstacles and turn them into opportunities. I'm Angela Gargano, 6-time American Ninja Warrior, Miss Fitness America, keynote speaker, and someone who knows firsthand what it's like to face setbacks and wonder, is this for me? I've torn my ACL on national television, worked the 12-hour overnight shifts as a biochemist, and battled my own doubts about how to chase my goals while juggling life's chaos. But through it all, I've learned one powerful truth. It's not about avoiding challenges, it's about how you view them. The difference between success and staying stuck, it's all in your mindset and what you do next. This podcast is here to remind you that every single person you admire has faced obstacles. The real magic happens when you decide to see those hardships as stepping stones to something greater. Each week, we'll dive into powerful stories and practical tools and mindset shifts to help you take control of your life and ask the big question, what if it all goes right? You'll leave each episode empowered, inspired, and equipped with the actionable steps to create the life you've been dreaming of. Because the truth is, you're stronger than you think, and your obstacles are just opportunities in disguise. Let's rewrite your story together. Get ready to feel inspired, take action, and see what happens when you start asking, what if it all goes right? And welcome back to What If It All Goes Right, the podcast where we shift our mindset, break through barriers, and take tangible steps towards creating the life we truly want. I'm your host, Angela Gargano, and today we're diving into part 2 of this series. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, I recommend you going back and checking it out because we're talking about something so important, which is allowing yourself to feel, acknowledging those heavy emotions, setting a time frame to experience them, and making the decision to not stay stuck. But today is where we actually start moving forward, right? Because now that we've processed some of the emotions, now that we've recognized what's holding us back, it's time to figure out what we actually want. And honestly, that's sometimes the hardest part. So if you've been feeling lost, if you've been feeling unclear, or just completely stuck in the what if it goes wrong instead of what if it goes right mindset, this episode is going to be a game changer for you. And trust me, I am right there with you in this process. We are going through this together. And what I love about this process is you can literally repeat it for any challenge that comes your way. So excited to have you back here. So we're here for part 2, which is super exciting. So the thing is, the other day, I was on my walk and I was trying to do this thing that I do where I visualize my perfect day. And the issue was I couldn't do it. I was frozen. I couldn't picture what I actually wanted my life to look like. And you know why? I realized it was because my brain was in that fight or flight mode. And when you're stuck in survival mode, when you're stressed out, when you're overwhelmed and thinking only of what could go wrong, it's truly impossible to visualize what could actually go right. Right? It's going to be really hard for you to see the life you really picture, the life that's actually possible for you when you're in a very disempowered and not great state, right? And it happens. And it's so natural. And while this might be helpful if, say, we're like running from a bear or something insane, it's not exactly helpful when we're trying to move forward in our life and really get to this next step, right? To really bring out the best version of ourselves. So the first step we have to do is really interrupt that pattern, right? And that's where the action steps that we're going to come into today are. Like I said, if you haven't watched the episode before this, that step 1 is very, very, very important. But now we're on to the next part of this series. So I want to talk about this what if it all goes right walk that I've been going on. So if you're feeling stuck, if you can't even picture what your best case scenario looks like, here's what I want you to do. First, you're going to go outside and you're going to start asking yourself the question, what if it goes right? I want you to literally say it out loud, talk to yourself, be weird about it, walk around, look at what's in front of you. And like we talked about last week, really trying to get to the present moment, just naming what you really do see in the present moment. Maybe it's you see a tree, maybe to look up at the blue sky in the car and really saying it. And this mindfulness technique is really going to bring you back into this present moment. And the studies show that when you focus on what's physically in front of you, it helps calm your nervous system and shift your brain away from that stress mode. So this technique is often used in cognitive behavioral therapy for anxiety, maybe even looking up and counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, if you want to go deeper with this. So once you've settled into that walk, I want you to start asking yourself that if everything in my life were actually going quote unquote right, what would that even look like? And really dig deep into this. What would your morning routine be? How would you feel when you wake up? Like really try and dive deep into the feeling and the senses of what this perfect day looks like. How would you move through the day? What kind of people would be in your life? And here's the key. be completely delusional about this, okay? I want you to remove any kind of limitations you might have, right? Remove the fear, remove any kind of like practicality here. Make sure money isn't a problem, doubt isn't a problem. It's just allowing yourself to actually dream, right? To see this bigger picture. Now, if you're struggling with this, if your mind goes to the blank, mine did at first, and that's totally okay. Do this again tomorrow and the next day, and it'll be easier. And it's really important to know this because I feel like so often, like I was getting really frustrated with myself when I was going for this walk, and I was like, I literally can't picture this right now. Like I used to be able to come out here, and I remember every single day I'd come out to the dock and I'd picture my morning routine where I'm out. I walk out to the dock, I'm journaling, I'm reading. The love of my life like comes behind me with a cup of tea or something and gives me a hug from behind, and my days start. And I felt that feeling, a feeling of comfort. And every single day that I was visualizing this, I was like really seeing it, and it was coming to life more in my brain. And it was so interesting since I stopped doing this because I felt like, ugh, like this is never going to happen type of vibe for a little while. I can't remember. I can't remember what that feeling is. So I want you to first also like give yourself permission to like not have it all figured out right now. Each day that you do this, you're going to be able to get a little deeper into what that day and what you actually do want. And you might even recognize as you keep doing this that there's certain things that you actually didn't actually want, like you thought you might have wanted, but you didn't. So I want you to just be patient with this. Because again, it can be really easy for us to be like, well, I don't have it fully figured. I don't fully know. That's okay. Let's literally allow yourself to not have any idea what this is actually going to look like. And now there's a technique for step 2 that is called future pacing. And it's often used in sales psychology, but I really like to use it for life in general. But what's really cool is you can use this to snap yourself into the highest version of yourself at any time, especially when you're not in a great place. Like let's say, for example, like you have a board meeting and you're not having the best day. You're not feeling your greatest, but you do need to show up in there, right? As your highest version of yourself. These are things that are going to be able to allow you to snap yourself into that higher state for that moment, which is really great. And a lot of times you can associate this with either like a song or like for me when I'm like going for like a run on the treadmill in the morning, I can snap myself into the state and getting that feeling. So you can basically train yourself like a dog to snap yourself into the state, which is really, really cool. So this is about stepping into the version of yourself who already has what you want, right? So as you walk, I want you to try something. I want you to picture yourself 6 months from now and asking yourself, what does that version of you look like? How do they carry themselves? How do they handle challenges? What kind of thoughts do they have about themselves? And now I want you to take it further. I want you to think about a year from now. Has anything changed? How do they make decisions? How do they spend their time? And finally, 3 years from now, what kind of energy do they radiate? What is now second nature to them? How do they talk about them? And noting as you're going through and you're getting a better picture of what this looks like, this version of you already exists. Okay. You just haven't stepped into them yet. What's also really powerful is what you can do. There's a couple of different things you could do. You could actually snap yourself into, like, think about a time where you did something that was so epic and try and snap yourself back into how that felt. So for me, every time I picture snapping myself in that state, I picture myself right before I was about to win Miss Fitness America, which I didn't know at the time yet. I remember being behind that stage, looking up at the ceiling, taking a deep breath in and being like, I got this. Like I just knew I put the work in. I felt good. I felt confident. I knew I was going to go over there and nail that routine and never having that feeling before. But also I recognized in that moment that I honestly didn't fully care what happened because I had already won by getting there. And it's that feeling that backstage. I see myself right now backstage in that moment. I had the same moment like right before Ninja Warrior, before I hopped up to crush the course again. It's like, cool. How can you get yourself back to that state? So think about something that resonates with you where you were in your empowered state and how does it actually feel, so that you can start to channel that into how you want your life to be and how you want to get yourself back into that state for all these different things that are going to come up, because you've definitely done something once that you maybe haven't done before. And if by sitting there and by getting proof from yourself, or even looking for proof from other people and what they've achieved, you can borrow that belief from them and borrow that energy from them and really try and encapsulate what you want to feel. You're not going to be able to do this right away, so don't put pressure on yourself to have it all figured out. This is something you're going to come back to, you're going to revisit, and you're going to get better and better at it. Now, the next thing I want you to do is write down the smallest action you can literally take today. So after your walk, I want you to grab your journal and start writing. I want you to literally brain dump everything that you want in your life, what it looks like if everything went right. No editing, no overthinking. Again, if you don't have it all figured out yet, that's fine. And I want you to take a step back and ask yourself this one powerful question. What's one thing on this list I can actually control right now? one thing on this list. Because here's the thing. So much of what we stress about is actually out of our control, but there are always things we actually can do, right? We always think about, what can I do? I can't do this. I can't do that. But what can you actually do right now? How can you start showing up like that higher version of yourself right now? There's simple things that you can do, right? So maybe you can't control when you'll land your dream job, but you can update your resume today, right? Maybe you can't force the perfect relationship, but you can start showing up as the person you'd want to be in a relationship right now. And maybe you can't guarantee that your business will grow overnight, but you can send the email, make the post, or do the outreach to the client. So some small step, and that's going to really compound over time, and it's going to compound into big results. Now, step 4 is kind of what we just talked about a little bit. It's really the borrowing that belief. So like, again, if you're struggling to believe in yourself right now, I want you to borrow the belief from somebody else. Maybe even borrow the belief that somebody actually has in you right now. There's been so many mentors in my life where I literally did not believe anything they were saying would actually be possible personally, but they believed in me so much, I started believing myself. And think about a time in your past, like we said before, that you can overcome something you just never thought you could. That proof that you can actually do hard things. We've all done something hard. And if you can't think of anything, again, I want you to look at other people who have done it. And instead of feeling jealous, use their success as proof that it is literally possible for you too. There's room for everybody to see success, okay? Because I have people in my life who tell me this all the time. Angela, if anything is going to figure it out, it's literally going to be you. They've literally said that to me so many times. And even when I don't believe it for myself, I literally borrow their belief. I'm like, okay, they see something in me that I'm going to be able to figure it out. So I've got to be able to figure it out. So borrow my belief right now from me to you that you can do this. And I believe you are capable of making your impossible goals a reality. I believe that you are stronger than you think. And I believe you can create a life that actually feels light, aligned, and powerful for you. So like I said, some more homework for you from part 2 of this series. I want you to go for that what if it all goes right walk. I want you to future pace yourself and visualize the best case scenario. Write it all down, no filters, and pick one thing that you can do and one thing that you can control today. Then I want you to borrow the belief if you need to. If you want some extra support, the next episode in the series, what I'm going to be doing is a walking meditation. So you can literally take me with you on your walk. You could literally repeat it as many times as you need to and go through it together. And if this resonates with you, I want you to take a screenshot, share on Instagram, tag me at Angela_Gargano. I want to hear what you're stepping into. And like I said, you might need to listen to these series multiple times. It's not going to happen overnight. You can't just like do part 1 of the series and part 2 of the series once and then just see all the results, right? You're going to have to keep repeating this and keep stacking this on each other and do it for a while. Like do it for like 30 days. Say to yourself, hey, I'm going to go through this for 30 days and then I'm going to like reevaluate how I feel after this, because I promise you, you're going to feel 10 times better. And as always, so excited to have you here. Keep asking yourself, what if it all goes right? What if it's already going right?